thing, we still use the light box to select the balut that's to be ready for market.
Once the eggs are 16 to 18 days old, they're ready to be taken to the street markets, where they're soft-boiled for thousands of eager customers. Vendor Erlinda De Leon let us in on the tricks of her trade.
When I go and collect the eggs, I pick the balut, which are 18 or 20 days old. It depends on the size of the eggs, but really, the best ones are 18 days old. What we do then is, we wash them with a sponge because they're so dirty. We make a point of cleaning them really well. Once they are completely clean, we put them in a pot and boil them. Students buy them. Sometimes people from offices buy them, or we get shoppers from the department stores. All sorts of different people buy the balut.
But it's not just a question of selecting the best egg. There's also an art when it comes to the actual eating. The perfect way to eat the egg is to lightly tap against a hard surface, peel off the top part of the shell, and drink the broth by tilting back your head.
Very delicious.
Then you peel the rest of the shell, exposing the yolk and the embryo. Add a spritz of vinegar and a touch of rock salt, and then pop the whole thing in your mouth and chew. Balut was introduced into Manila by the Chinese in around 1800. Since then, the locals have taken it to their hearts, writing songs and even poetry about balut and its supposed effect, especially on men.
Balut is the best for the next life.
I think men eat balut in the Philippines for three basic reasons. One is as an aphrodisiac because they believe it increases male desire. Aphrodisiac because they believe it increases male desire. But far, far more important for men is that I think they believe it makes them last longer and makes them able to do things that they ordinarily wouldn't be able to do. And then finally, I think they believe it makes them more potent. So if they wanted a child, eating balut would ensure one go would be sufficient rather than two or three. I think the best people to ask about, the effect of balut would be the men themselves who ate it and their wives and girlfriends. So a man who believes that balut will make him a better lover and actually eats the stuff will have to say it made him a better lover.
Filipino men might think it's egg-shaped Viagra, but many Westerners would still find this duck egg a little hard to stomach.
Balut is an egg which has been incubated for 18 days. Now, it normally takes 28 days to fully form the duck, but after 18 days you have got a pretty serious embryo in there. There's a skeletal infrastructure, so it does contain a different nutritional profile to a normal egg. Well, if men decide to use balut to improve sexual performance, they should do that with a note of caution. Eggs are fairly high in cholesterol, so they shouldn't do them too often.
Balut is mainly sold as a between-meal snack in a country desperate for cheap, high-energy foods. But as the tourist trade grows here, balut is going upmarket and finding its way onto restaurant and hotel menus. Chef and owner Jean Gonzalez of Cafe Isabel has been teaching the next generation about making the balut more palatable for the nervous Westerner.
Rather than the classic version of eating it with sea salt, people have it sautéed, they have it braised with garlic, they have it in pastry form, they have it as pâté or soufflé. These are just a few examples of the new styles of eating balut. I think our friends from abroad should try the balut and have an open mind. They should never be preempted by tales of horror or tales of the macabre. If I were to serve balut to my foreigner friends, if they are squeamish, I would serve them the balut in some other form.
Here's your balut a la pobre.
And then later on, maybe they can proceed to eating the whole egg. The ritual of eating the whole egg.
Dressing it up in a whole range of food styles might disguise this Filipino delicacy, but it's still hard to avoid what the basis of this treat actually is.
It's okay. Just the thought is thinking that it's an embryo,
The cooking is very good because you can't even think that it's balut. The chick was really cooked very well, that it's very delicious. You wouldn't even realize that it was a duck, a baby duck in it.
That has been like the test of on any newcomer, you know. You give them the balut and don't tell them about it, and then just tell them they have to eat it.
Not knowing what you're eating is often half the battle, and depending on your love of food and culinary adventure, the embryo which is balut might be appealing. Others might prefer their breakfast egg with a little less of a crunch. Balut is our #1 in this world's best weird foods. But don't be too quick to dismiss all these delicacies. You might have already eaten a bug or two yourself today.
They're hidden in our food all of the time. Well, for example, it is perfectly legal for a 250-gram chocolate bar to contain 147 insect fragments. A litre of orange juice can have up to 16 fly eggs, and in fact up to 3 maggots, perfectly legally. And 2 slices of bread can have up to 148 fragments of insects. And incidentally, 2 rodent tears are allowable as well. So you shouldn't be too squeamish about it. More people eat insects than drink milk.
Food for thought, indeed.